Hi there, welcome back to my channel Charming Raindrops, and we are now in April, so we're now going to do the April roundup. I mean, how have we got to the end of April already? God only knows, but here we go. Are you ready for the ride? Okay, so for April, stats will go up just here. I didn't read as much because I've been quite busy. I listened to quite a few books in April. So I read 7 books in total, and that was 751 pages in total and 32.5 hours that I listened to. It was 4.2 as my average rating, and one of those was a library book, and I started one new series. I also completed a series because I ended up reading the first 3, I say the trilogy of the Hunger Games. I kind of went off. So I had a really lovely TBR, which you will have seen on this channel. But I had then decided that I then got hooked on the Hunger Games, so then I'd kind of gone off on a different tangent, which is a real shame. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my spring equinox ones and continue them into May, because I do want to. I've decided, I have put a point on the fact that I want to finish the Magical Readathon, the 2. So I've still got 3 books to read from or 3 prompts to read from the character creation. And then I've also got 4 prompts still to read from the spring equinox. So the idea is that I'm going to try and read as much of that in April and May as possible. So I've read 1 in April. So that means I may not hit it, but I'm going to give it a damn good try in May to try and read more of those. So without further ado, let's look at April. And we'll see how much what I've actually read. Okay, so out of these books, we had the that's still March. April, not May, April. Okay, so basically we had the shortest and the longest book. The longest book that I read was The Naughty Spy, and that was by Lyons. There'll be a picture going up just here. That was also my favourite book of the month, even though I got really hooked on the Hunger Games. I still loved The Naughty Spy. I am totally hooked on Lucy Lyons' books. There's going to be fantasy ones, and I'm so excited. But these cosy crime ones I really love. And I don't love a lot of crime. So, you know, it's amazing that I found something that I love. But it's also based around the late 90s and the millennium, which is kind of my era. I was 15 in 2000 when the millennium happened. But so I wasn't quite as old as the characters in these books. But there's things like the music and how the life was lived that I remember things that were happening at that given time. And that's what makes it really reminiscent. The shortest book that I read was The Truth Has Arms and Legs. And I read this because I'm having an author talk at one of my libraries by the author. I'll be honest, it wasn't my favourite. Short stories are really not my jam. I always get to the end and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need more. Because I love loving the characters so much that I kind of want to hear more. But I have a lot of kudos for those that can write short stories, because at the end of the day, if you've got to pack a story into a very small amount of words and still have a complete story, and you've still done the character building and all of that malarkey, if you can do that in a very small space, kudos to you, because I don't think I could. I'm a waffler at heart, as we will know from this channel. I'm a waffler at heart. So, you know, it wasn't my favourite because I don't really like short stories. I don't really like novellas either. But, you know, kudos to the authors who can achieve that. But it just wasn't my jam. But I still really enjoyed it, and I'm still really looking forward to meeting the author. So the way they were broken up, the way the books were broken up this month is that 3 of them were audiobooks, 2 of them were a ebook, and 2 of them physical. Yes, that makes 7. It's the afternoon. My brain has completely frazzled. So yeah, of which I got 3 of them from Everend, because I listened to all the Hunger Games on Everend. I also got books from Kindle Unlimited, and I got them from the bookstore and from my local library. As I work in it, you know, that's where I seem to get a majority of my books. There was a slightly over half-half split on parts of a series and standalone. All of the books that I read that were part of a series were all the Hunger Games, because there was only 3 of them, and then the other 4 were all not part of a series, and they were standalone. So the other books that I'd like to give an honourable mention to is obviously The Hunger Games, because I absolutely loved it. I mean, I don't know where I was when it first came out, because I absolutely loved it and I devoured it really quickly. The other book was a non-fiction book, and that was Sing by Redman Lusher. That is going to pop up just here. It was really interesting because I've been a member of Rock Choir for the last 10 years, and it's really interesting to hear her life story, which was really interesting. But also the chapters all had song names, and it was interesting how she was talking about how you build your soundtrack in relation to your life. So in a separate video I'm going to try and work on that, because it'll be interesting to see what books have shaped my life and the way that and how far I've come. So alongside a Square video for Sing, you're also going to get a video about making your own, I would say making your own kind of music. That was a song that we've also done in Rock Choir, but also it's like making your soundtrack to life. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting concept. Obviously I can't play any songs, but there will be a playlist in the description. So yeah, so if you want to see all of that coming up, please subscribe, do all the YouTubey things, like it, comment. It'd be lovely to have some book recommendations, or just what did you think of some of the books that I'm reading. I mean, I really love The Hunger Games. I've not seen any of the films. That's literally next on my list. But what did you think? Is there anything else I should be reading other than that? I mean, as a spoiler for May, I have got the two, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and the new one, which is Sunrise on the Reaping, which I think are both prequels to The Hunger Games, which will be an interesting read. But I've got those ready for May. So without further ado, I think now I'll plug in a video of me putting it into my reading journal.